Good morning. My name is Greg Gloss, and on behalf of Kent State Athletics, just want to welcome you all here as we introduce our new leader to our football program, Kenny Burns. One piece of housekeeping, media, we will reconvene in this room after a short break once all the comments and remarks are done, so we'll have a break and then we'll come back in here. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to President Todd Diacon.
Thank you, Greg. It's really a great opportunity to celebrate our architecture and environmental design program, so it's so great to see everybody here doing that. In all seriousness, we are in the home of architecture and environmental design, both of them ranked in the top 15 in the United States for the number of graduates working in architecture and design firms. So we're very pleased to meet in this location. And there's a reason that I led in the way that I led. But first, let me, in addition to welcoming Kenny, welcome Sierra and their children, Rosie and Cone. We're so glad to have you here, and I look forward to getting to know you better. So why did I begin the way I began, talking about architecture and environmental design? In my interview with Kenny, we did not talk football. Instead, I laid out who we are as a university and who we are as an athletics department, and if and how Kenny would fit in and lead our institution and lead those values. And so in the hour that we had together, I talked to Kenny about our fierce commitment to access and degree completion, about being a school not just for the fortunate few, but for the meritorious many. And I talked about how we accomplish more with fewer resources, including becoming an R1 Research Very High institution, one of 146 such institutions in the United States today. And then when we talked about who we are as an athletics department, we talked about our student athletes as ambassadors for the university, meaning a fierce commitment to attending class, a fierce commitment to ever increasing the GPA of our teams at Kent State University, and always expecting to lead with the behaviors that reflect well on Kent State when our student athletes are interacting with the general public. And we finished with how success on the field, but not having success in these other areas is not enough at Kent State University. And so after about 30 minutes of laying this out for Kenny, I asked him just one question. So if you want to know how I interview people, this is the one question I asked him. I said, Kenny, describe to me how you would fit in with these expectations, and how would you lead as our head coach and lead those values of Kent State University? And with well-chosen examples and well-chosen stories, for about 30 minutes, Kenny mesmerized me with his lived leadership in exactly the areas that make Kent State the special and powerful university that it is. So I'm really thrilled, Kenny, to have you here, have your family joining us as part of our Kent State family. I did not hire Kenny. It turns out that that's the job of our athletics director and his really crack team. And I say that as I conclude my remarks by appreciating the leadership that Randale Richmond has provided in this process and every day as our athletics director. Also thank Greg and Jesse and all those involved in this whirlwind of activities. Again, welcome, Kenny. We're so glad you're here. And I'll now turn things over to our athletics director, Randale Richmond.
All right, good morning. Good morning. It's an exciting time. I want to give a shout out to the original Kenny Burns Sr., as he's doing grandpa duty on the way out. Thanks for everything you've done. And we know how big that is. He drove all the way here and is missing the contest. He's the original ball coach Burns. So he's taking care of the family through and through. You know how their family is. Hey, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, so I'll be concise and precise as I introduce our next head coach of the football team, Mr. Kenni Burns. When we set out to fill this position, we went into the archives and began to research what's worked here at Kent State, what's yielded success. We spoke with former coaches, polled a subset of student athletes, and drew on our own experiences from being here many years before. And 5 things stood out. High energy, how they engaged our student athletes early in the morning needed to be with the same passion, excitement, and intensity as when they engaged our donors, staff, and greater Kent community throughout the day and throughout the night. Belief. We needed a person with an unconquerable will who believed they could win here and could instill belief not only within the team and our student athletes, but within the department and throughout the campus and the community as well. Command presence. We needed a person who, when they stepped into a room, everyone knew, hey, that person is our leader. That person is in charge. And we're confident in the direction that this person is taking us. Third, accountability. We needed a person who would hold their student athletes and staff, and even us as administrators, to a higher standard. Someone who would be demanding but not demeaning, and would correct the act while withholding and preserving the dignity of the person. MAC familiarity. We needed a person with MAC ties who knew what it would take to win in a league with immense parity. Cold weather towns, a tough, hard-nosed student athlete, and an ability to recruit to that profile. And lastly, explosion. We needed someone who was elite at their craft, and Kenni is elite at his craft of overseeing running backs, and had an ability to articulate how they would implement a level of explosive plays into their offense. Now, in the spirit of holiday season, our wish list made Santa blush, right? We're asking for a bit. But apparently we here in the Kent community have been really nice this year because we found all that and even more in Kenni Burns. Throughout this process, I kept finding myself saying, there is no more prepared person to be a head coach who's never been a head coach than Kenni Burns. His championship pedigree, clear vision for the program, strong and demonstrated leadership, along with his purpose for growing young men beyond just the playing surface, all leaped off the screen when we reviewed his materials and became even more evident when we met Kenni in person. Kenni has been intentionally groomed for this exact moment throughout his 15-year career, especially over the last 4 years as the assistant head coach and designated number 2 behind head coach P.J. Fleck at the University of Minnesota. Kenni is arguably the best teacher of the running back position in the country, and that's not an exaggeration. He has received an outpouring of love, appreciation, well wishes, and I'll misuse due to his transformative and positive impact he's had on others' lives throughout his career. Of all the people we talked to about Kenni, before anyone can go on about his ability to coach, teach, or lead, they first and foremost raved about how extraordinary of a person he was and is. Kenni, through his Kent Grit mantra, is ready to lead a proud and transcendent era of Kent State football. Please join me in welcoming the 23rd head coach of our Kent State football program, Mr. Kenni Burns.
Wow. As a coach, you sit here, you think of this moment over and over and over in your mind, and you never know exactly where it'll be at, and you really never know when that time will come. But I'm extremely humbled, excited, proud to be the new head coach at Kent State University. I want to start by saying this is a dream come true, truly a dream come true. Because a lot of guys want to be head coaches, but every once in a while you find a university that meets exactly what you're looking for and that fits exactly in what you believe in. And I found that here. It starts with people. People's been the story of my life. How I've got where I've gotten to is because I've surrounded myself with elite people. And there's a lot of people to thank for that. Some here, some not here. But the one I want to start with are the players back at the University of Minnesota. Those players made me a better husband, a better father, and a better coach. I'm forever grateful for those players. They touched my life more than they could ever know. And I hope they understand that. I hope they know I appreciate that. And I thank them for pouring into my life as much as I poured into their life. And that's what it's all about to me. I want to also thank President Diacon for his vision, his understanding of exactly what Kent Grit was, and seeing how it married together. I want to thank him for that. I want to thank Randale for his energy. I mean, I've never seen someone affect so many people with this positivity and his energy to lead and to be a positive influence on our student athlete's life. I want to thank Greg and Jesse for their organization and the process and their detail and going through every single step to make sure it was exactly right. I want to thank Sean Lewis, who put the foundation down to make this thing great, along with Paul Haynes and Daryl Hazel. I'm excited to be here, but I wouldn't be here without PJ Fleck. PJ Fleck is a life changer. He's the definition of a servant leader. He made sure from the day I walked in there and I sat in his office that all of his journey would be to get me standing in front of you. And every day he demonstrated that with how he led me to be a better man and a better coach and a better father. And I thank him for that. I thank Joe Traynor, Dale Lennon, and Craig Bull for giving me the opportunity to stand here in front of you and giving me my first shot to be a coach at the Division II, Division I AA, and the FBS level. And we did great things and winning championships together. I want to thank my brothers, my assistant coaches back at University of Minnesota, Brian Callahan, Kurt Chiraka, Matt Simon, and Greg Harbaugh, who every day we grinded to build something great there. And I'll miss you dearly. I obviously want to finish by thanking my family. My mom, Melody, my father, Kenny, my sisters, Angie and Kirsten, my in-laws, Rick and Brenda, and my three brothers. I got two sisters, no brothers. My wife's got three brothers. It's a perfect marriage. Derek, Bo, and Tanner for believing in me. And I'll finish with thanking my squad, I call them. My wife, Sierra, my son, Cohen, and my daughter, Rosiah, she's named herself the assistant head coach, so you know, so that position's gone, who will be here with us. So we're excited to be here. We're proud to be your head coach. And I want to start by just telling you a story how a guy like me from Springfield, Illinois, Peoria, Illinois, is sitting here in front of you. And that story starts with my mom and my dad, who had me at a very, very young age, at 16 and 18. And they had many times where they wanted to quit, where it got a little too hard, where their dreams and their goals seemed a little bit outlandish. And I think about my mom in this story because my mom, she was a teenage mom, but she never gave up on herself. She went to college. She found a way to become a correctional officer after dropping out of high school, and then become a major at a prison, and then become a warden of a prison. And she led me with this whole unconquerable will mindset. So you ask me where grit comes from. That's where it comes from. The idea of growing, responding, doing it with integrity, and doing it together with some other people can create great things. And that's what we're going to do here. And I found an institution that does exactly that grows, that responds to whatever issues that might have financially, academically, that does it with tremendous amount of integrity. And all you have to do is walk in our athletic building to see the togetherness that's there, and that's special. So when you talk about the marriage, it was right there, right in front of my eyes, and I saw it from the beginning. But how are we going to do that as a football team? We're going to grow academically, athletically, socially, and spiritually. Academically, we're going to sit in the first two rows. We're going to wear collar shirts. We're going to engage with our professors. We're going to do what I call +3. Just be 3 points better than you were the last semester, and you'll reach all your goals. Athletically, we're going to change our best. We're going to change our best every single day just to be a little bit better than we were the day before and get bigger, faster, stronger, and build on what Sean and Paul and Darryl have done here so far. Socially, we're going to brand our student athletes. We're going to make sure they understand that they play for the name on the front, but they represent the name on the back. And make sure when they leave this institution that they have all the tools they need to be successful and attack their life. And then spiritually, it's not a religion, but we're going to know what serving and giving is. Giving back to our community, giving back to each other, being the best version of ourselves through our Gopher for Life, or through our Flash for Life program. Yeah, thank you, PJ. That has really encompassed this whole idea of creating the holistic player. But with that, that's our mindset, and that's what we're going to attack. And our style of play is not going to change. It's going to be flash fast. We're going to bring our defense along with that, and our special teams do the same thing. And we're going to win MAC championships, go to BCS bowl games, and bring Kent State to the national scene and national stage. I appreciate you. I am so honored to be your head coach. And this is going to be fun, this is going to be exciting, and this is going to transform lives of our student athletes to make them special, and always remember Kent State University. Thank you so much.
We're going to give a couple minutes opportunities for some photo opportunities up here on the stage and around the building. So we'll take about 5 or 10 minutes and we'll reconvene for some Q&A with our media and other constituents. Thank you.
Rob Polinsky with Kent State Radio. Coach, welcome to Kent State University, first off. What was it about Kent State University specifically that attracted you to the job?
It starts with people. The people. When you ask around the community, when you ask around the coaching circles, the people that have been here and had success, and even who didn't have success, talked about the foundation of people that were here and how they believed in this program, how the athletic department was connected, supporting each other, and that's what I believe in, and that's where it starts with me. Phenomenal people. And then when I met the president, the AD, and the committee, it just made it even more clear to me that this was a place I need to be. And I always wanted a program that fit my mantra of grit. And when I looked at everything about this place, and you look at the mission statement of the university, you look at the core values, it was about transforming people. And my whole thing is a holistic approach, and not just about the student athlete football-wise, but also the academic experience, the social experience, and then being able to be servant and givers. And that fit this place, and that's why I thought it was a great marriage.
Brad Borneville from the Akron Beacon Journal here. Welcome. Looking at Northeast Ohio, it's a hotbed for football. How important is your focus going to be in getting kids in this area to this university?
Very big. In the process, I talked about the Northeast Ohio, but then the whole state of Ohio. All of our coaches will recruit Ohio. Every single one of them will have a part of it. I will be the lead recruiter of the state of Ohio, so I'll be here nonstop. It'll be my home base, and I'm going to attack it hands-on. I've recruited Columbus when I was at Western Michigan, and I saw the talent there. I've recruited Cleveland. And so I'm ready to go. And the staff I'm putting in place will have backgrounds in those areas. And I think when you start to meet those guys, you'll see it all makes sense. But this will be a place that will be our blueprint in our process of recruiting. So I'm excited. I think that we're going to dominate in recruiting. I expect that. And I know it's a high bar to set, but I think there's so much talent here, and you can't miss it. You got to make sure you knock on doors, you find everyone, and you find the hidden gems to make this thing great. And that's what we did at Western Michigan. One thing that PJ taught me is controlling the state. And we were in Michigan. You look at our roster; it was about 80% Michigan players, and they were great players, and they fit the MAC. And I'm looking for guys who've got a crack on their shoulder, not a chip, but a crack. And what I mean by that is guys who've got this edge of, I should be maybe playing in the Big Ten, but I didn't get a shot. And I want to prove to the world and to myself that I belong. And that's going to be our blueprint of finding great student athletes that fit this.
Coach Jack Burney, TV2, you talked a little bit about your Kent Grit mantra. Could you just talk about a little bit about what that entails?
Yeah, it's I think it's a mindset of how you go about approaching things. I'm big on understanding exactly where you want to go and how to get there. And to me, grit is how you get there. It's about growing every single day and taking every element of your life and finding ways to make it just a little bit better. Academically, like I said, +3 and just getting a little bit better. Athletically, just getting a little bit bigger, faster, stronger. If you notice, I never tied in a result because results to me are just data. How do you get there and maintain it? It's about changing who you are as a person. And that's what it's about. And that's what the whole grit thing is. And then it's being able to respond, because life's going to throw adversity at you. You're going to win games, you're going to lose games. You're going to flunk tests, you're going to get A's on tests. How do you handle it? Having a positive mindset that, you know what, I can do better, and I'll find a way to do better. And then having integrity, and that's the moral compass, I call it. Being morally sound, doing what your parents taught you, and taking it and taking those life lessons to be better. And then locking arms and doing it together. Understand it's not about me, it's not about you. The coach isn't bigger than the janitor isn't bigger than the coach. We all need each other, from the women's coaches to golf coach, to the women's basketball coach, to the head basketball coach, to the football coach. We're all one unit, locking arms to find a way to win championships and advance our athletic department.
Coach Rob again here. You mentioned the staff and assembling your staff. How long do you anticipate that's going to take you, and what are you looking for from your coaches?
Yeah, I'm going to take my time, because I think that's one of the most important part, because these guys will impact our student athletes every single day, and I want the right people. And I know there's phenomenal people already on staff. And I know some of these guys. I want to give them every opportunity to meet with them and visit with them and see if we can align our visions together, because they deserve that. They've done a terrific job of, you look at the academic success, you look at the athletic success, they've done a great job of enhancing their student athletes experience. And I want to start there. And then I've got guys in mind that I've worked with that I know understand this league, that I understand this region of the country, and then I also know that are great people and are looking for an opportunity to maybe coordinate or raise themselves up from where they are right now, which is important. But there's three characteristics that I'm really looking for in my coaches, and I call them the 3 L's. First, I'm looking for guys that listen to the student athletes to see exactly what do they want, what do they need to be better, and understand that I've got to take my own personal beliefs of what that should be, but understand that each student athlete's different. Then after that, I want guys who look around corners, and they're able to get in front of problems before they ever start. And understand that, you know what, I got to have my antenna up to see when a kid might not be happy with this experience and find ways to fix that. And then lastly, I want guys who can lift our student athletes up, lift them up to be the best they can possibly be, and make sure they maximize their potential. So those are really the characteristics that I'm looking for in our student athletes. And I think the list I've got of people, they're excited about this opportunity. They're excited to work here for this institution and with myself. And they know that the foundation's been laid to really build something special. So that's where I'll start with my staff. But efficient, but I'll take my time.
Tom Evans, Kent State Radio. Coach, you talked about recruiting Northeast Ohio. The transfer portal has exploded this year. How big a role? And talk to us about your experience with the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's a different landscape, obviously, with the transfer portal. But one thing I'll say about the transfer portal is it's created opportunity too. There's two ways to look at it. You can say it's one where it hinders your roster and that you're losing guys left and right. But there's a lot of guys in the transfer portal with the crack on their shoulder that want a shot. Guys who are coming up from FCS that are terrific football players, guys who are sitting at some of the bigger schools who are looking for a shot to come down and maybe where they could fit in a little bit more. And then also it allows high school kids. There's more high school kids than ever being missed because guys are just going right to the portal. So there's a kind of a give and take there with it all. And I believe it has a place, but I don't believe it should be the foundation of your program at all. I still think it starts with high school kids and developing them in all periods of their life for 4 years. So to me, it's a place, and we'll definitely have a big emphasis on looking at our needs in this first transitional year and making sure we get our roster right. But it will not be where we focus all of our attention at all. It'll be something that'll be just another element to what we're building.
Coach, welcome to Kent State. Gabe Kuller at TV2. Obviously, you're no stranger to this conference. You're on the staff with PJ Fleck that went to the Cotton Bowl for Western Michigan. What have you learned from him that's better prepared you to be a head coach? I know you've touched on it a little bit, but if you could just touch on it some more.
Yeah. What have I learned? I learned a lot from PJ. First of all, I learned that you need to bring energy to your life. If you know PJ, he's like the Energizer Bunny. He'd be jumping on these tables right now. He's so excited. I got a text from him after the press conference, and he's just, you could feel his energy through the phone. Call me when you get a minute. I'm ready. I got some stuff for you. So it's been great with PJ. But the biggest thing I learned about PJ is that culture is about connecting people. Everybody talks about the road to boat culture, and it's embedded in me, honestly, and I can't run away from that. I joked about the Gopher for Life and said it was Flash for Life, but that's what it is. It's connecting people, and PJ taught me that. He taught me that if you want to really build a strong culture that lasts, and where people understand each other you've got to connect them, and you've got to have a holistic approach about how you go about that, because they all come from different walks of life. And they don't know each other, and you got to find a common goal to get them to play for each other. And at Western Michigan, we did that. We got people to play for each other. It wasn't about the coaches. It wasn't about the players. It was about not letting each other down and making sure that we maximized our opportunity and our abilities. And that's what I'll credit Coach to. I learned that, and it took a while to actually understand it. But, you know, when he gave me the assistant head coach title, he let me be a little bit more involved in that side of it. It was a big step in me becoming prepared to be a head coach.
Coach, you talked about your mom being a prison warden.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of structure right there with her.
Yeah, little.
What did she teach you about structure, and just how much are you a product of what your mom taught you when you were a little boy?
I would say my mom and my dad, who's sitting here. My dad is a high school basketball coach, so you think of that, those two teaming up together, it was rough. But no, they taught me discipline, structure, and service. That's what I always tell people. They taught me the discipline of being consistent as a person. You got your moral compass that we've taught you and gave you. Now hold yourself up to that standard every single day and how you go about it. And then they gave me great structure. They gave me structure. I never felt like I was a kid without. I know we weren't the richest family in the world, but I had everything I needed to be great, and I credit them to that. And like I said, my mom, she had that unconquerable will, as does my dad, and they've never been denied, I like to say. They've always found a way to make the most out of their experience, and that's what I believe in. You don't tell me, I told Randale in the interview process, don't tell me what we don't have. Tell me what we have, and I'll enhance the stuff that could be better. But to me, it's about looking at what you have and maximizing that, and then being a service to your student athletes. And that's what I believe coaching is. A lot of people think about the X's and the O's, and that's great. There's definitely a point for that. That's how you win games. But at the end of the day, to win championships, I think you got to have great people, and you got to serve them and make sure they maximize their potential. And that's just me. And I credit that to my parents. You know, the whole grit idea came with their ability to lead me, and I think that's what they did. They grew, they responded to whatever life gave them, and they always were morally sound to me. They never sold their soul for something that they wanted now, for when they wanted something in the future that was way better, and that's important to me. And then they were together. My parents, I'll tell you, they're divorced, but you would never ever guess that. They're best of friends. They enjoy each other. They grew up together, and that to me, that's a togetherness to raise the son that I am, and I appreciate that, and I credit them to that. Make me tear up here.
Any more questions from our media or from the different constituents?
Great. Awesome.
All right,
Easy.
guys,
Thank you.
Time out this morning and go